Of course, we know this is our final class of going through the chapters, and then there's one more class next week, which is review. Did everybody receive the review sheet?
Yes.
Okay, great. So if you didn't receive it, please let me know now.
Morning, Miss Bullet. I didn't receive it.
Morning, Miss Bullet. I didn't receive it either.
Morning, Miss Bullet. Neither did I.
So this is Latoya, Wesleyan, and Felicia did not receive it?
Neither did I. Neither
And
did I.
Jasmine?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's a surprise. Okay, let me just forward that right
I
now.
don't know. It's because it was attached. I think you replied back to one of the emails Miguel sent. So I don't know if they was looking for email from you. But I don't know if that's how, because I thought I didn't get it either. But when I went back to the Zoom link and I see you sent it through the thing, so I don't know if they didn't look there to see if it was there.
Yeah, so I sent it through the Zoom link.
Right. The last time what Miguel sent.
Miguel sent, yeah, for last class.
Right. So I don't know if they didn't see it because they probably looking for my mail directly from you.
Okay, so can you just take a moment and check that and let me know? The persons who said they didn't receive it? Hello?
I see it.
Okay, Felicia, that's you. You see it now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, can Jasmine and everybody else confirm that they got it?
I'm sorry, Miss
Bullet.
Bullet.
I still don't see it.
You still don't see it. Okay, 1 second then.
It's a sheet with some questions.
I don't see it either. Sorry about that.
Okay, so I'm forwarding it right now again. Is that Jasmine and Shanique? Anybody else?
I got it, Miss Bullet.
That's all I am, Miss Bullet.
Okay, Jasmine and Latoya.
And
I
Brandon.
didn't get it, Miss Bullet.
Okay, Latoya. Brandon. Brandon, what's your email address? Because your email ain't even coming up.
Brendan, BRENDEN. Lam, LAMM.
.lam.
I guess you could send it to @gmail.com.
At gmail.com. Okay, let me just spell that BRENDAN.LAMM@gmail.com.
No, BRENDEN.
I see a lamb at private trust code attached to this email.
Okay, yeah, send it to that one.
No, that's what she had sent it to originally.
Oh, okay, I didn't get anything to my work email.
All right.
Sorry, morning. This is the review sheet that we're talking about, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Bullet, I still haven't gotten anything.
Okay. Okay, Miss Clean and Lysandra, right? Okay, so that's Jasmine, Latoya, Brandon, Vasilian, and Lysandra. I sent that.
Me too, Ms. Bullet.
Yeah, Leon, I'm calling you Lysandra, sorry, Leandra,
Okay.
sorry. Yeah, because yeah, emails always bounce back. I don't know why. I think I have to fix it. Okay, so please just confirm, because Whistly and I have you in the first one, so. I'm surprised. Okay, I sent it just now. Did any of you receive it?
I haven't received it as yet.
Okay, perhaps it's there. So I'll check back at the end of class because I just sent it to everybody. Okay, so that means that everybody should have it now. So hopefully you get the opportunity to get with your partner and you come with 10 points on the topic that you were assigned. Okay, is it clear what needs to be done?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Okay, so now it's, like I said, this next week is just review, and some of you, I still don't know. So are some of you throwing away your 10 points, or are some of you settling with just 5?
I could speak for my 5%, because I don't think I said anything yet for my 5%.
Okay, yeah, so Mega, go ahead.
I went to the Toastmaster meeting Tuesday. It was okay, Toastmasters 7178 Club, Healing Communicators. They their theme was next up the top. The only thing that they did there was they had guest speakers and they evaluate of the president. One of the Robin Knowles, one of the members, he evaluated each one of the guest speakers. It was 3 guest speakers: Desmond Sanders, Simone, and Bridget. And it was something like an icebreaker they had to do, and they get evaluated on how they do. It was a lecture also there by the name of Narissa Moore. So the word of the day was anomalous. Anomalous, the meaning is something abnormal or deviating from the usual method. Miss Marissa Carey, she was the Toastmaster of the day. And then at the end of it, they didn't really they didn't talk nothing much about financing or any other business like that, because they only was given speeches and getting judged on it. But I went also to they had a Forex seminar over here Wednesday. I went to that also. The guys there were there. Vincent Murphy, he was teaching everyone about the 4 of the Forex, the DCX, the FRX, the Elite, and the ECX. He was trying to recommend, like, recruit people to join to the Forex stuff. So it's like you refer 3 persons to the academy, and then you'll be an independent business owner. The registration fee, they have a registration fee there for $235 a month, and you pay $175 monthly. So the $235 is a one-time fee. But if you don't want to sell the business, you pay monthly. And also they're talking about the Bitcoins. You could do the Bitcoins also. They have positions where you could be a P150, a P600, and a P1000. The P150, if you refer 3 people to the company, you make $150 a week. If you was a P6 and you prefer 12 persons in the company, you make $150 a week. The company pays you $150 a week. And if you was a P1000, you bring in 30 people, the company pays you $250 a week. And with your 3 people, if you bring in your 3 people, and those 3 people bring in more people, all of that will be coming underneath you that you are bringing in people. So they was trying to get people to sign up to that, to start to do the Forex stuff. And
Okay.
that's it.
Okay, thank you, Omega, for sharing. Okay, with the Toastmasters and the other civic organizations, if they don't talk about business, that's okay. In my other class, somebody attended a class where they talked about backyard farming. Another one was on politics, or, real life scenarios, women working and men staying at home, so don't shy away if the topic is not business, and we want to be well-rounded in our corporate development. So even if the topic is not business related or AML related, I still hope that you would participate and find it beneficial. As with the Forex meetings, a lot of people are attending them now. Forex is a specialized area of the bank. It falls under capital markets. And so, a lot of persons are taking that on as like their side hustle or side job. It's very complex. And in order to trade, you must have the Series 7. And the Series 7, I think, expires every 2 or 3 years, and you have to, update and do your CPD hours. So don't take it lightly with the Forex. A lot of those companies, they prey on people ignorance or the inability to know that that's a very complex, and you have to watch the market every day, and you actually have to devote loads of time to it. And I know sometimes they say, we're going to do it on your behalf, but you have to make sure, check the, track record. So I can't say all of them are pyramid schemes, but I want to, you need to ensure that the one that you get involved in is not a pyramid scheme. Okay? Just so you be careful.
Right, because my sister in it, and she trying to do the same thing because we go to the seminar. She's go away to the most of the convention and stuff. So she trying to convince me to get in it. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's a very highly specialized area. And like I said, if you're not interested in the Series 7 or attaining that designation, then somebody would have to trade on your behalf. And normally when persons trade on your behalf, they charge you 50% of whatever profit that you make. So like I said, don't get caught up in like the pyramid schemes. And so do your due diligence on the company, go online, Google them, check their track record. But I am always concerned when, imagine you walking into Royal Bank, they normally say bring, tell your friends and family about our services and products, but they don't say bring somebody else and we'll pay, this amount of money or whatever. So just be careful about it. Just do, like I say, your proper due diligence before you make any investment. But if you don't understand the market and if you're not going to watch the market every day, it's going to be very difficult for you to speak knowledgeably to it. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Omega. Okay. We have some hands raised. Melissa.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Ms. Bullitt, I would like to share with the class an article I read in the Tribune.
Okay.
It is about Scotiabank giving warning about digital fraud. What it basically says is that they're warning their customers to make sure that the apps and websites that they're using for purchases and transactions online are legitimate because of the rise in fraudulent activity. Mr. Roger Archer also stated that because of the pandemic, it has forced many of us to rely on delivery services, and more frequent online shopping. And fraudsters have become more increasingly skilled at making up fake websites. Um, he also stated that they went as far as to create the website selling items and counterfeit versions of the legitimate companies. He said to be careful of these things, and a tell sign is when the website contains broken links and there's no back button or it's poorly designed. In the article, it also stated that customers should ensure that websites have up-to-date information such as their contact number, someone they can speak to, can answer questions, and email addresses. It also states that they should be aware of websites that ask for personal information before it allows you to browse their website for goods. That's about it. And then I also attended a Kiwanis meeting on Wednesday, Kiwanis Club of Cable Beach. The word of the week was compunction, which means anxiety arising from awareness of guilt. They also had a guest speaker who spoke from the Consumer Protection Commission, and they stated that their responsibility is protecting the rights of customers. And they presented a lot of graphs and information on how you can go about filing a complaint if you visit a store and the prices are really outrageous. That's it.
Okay, excellent, Alicia. And again, the new norm, due to this pandemic, and even before the pandemic, there's a tech push. And I remember a few classes ago, I asked that you go and visit the Securities Commission site, subscribe, read up on their fintech and their regtech, ensure that you are familiar, because like it is a new way, we have to adapt to it, but there are a lot of risks. So we go back to, of course, recommendation 1 from the FATF 40 recommendations. Assess your risks, and put controls in place to make sure you can mitigate that risk. So like Alicia said, if there are broken links, she gave a few tips on what to look out for. Ensure that you do your due diligence when you sign up to these websites. Definitely before you put in your credit card information or any of your personal information, check to verify that it's a true and correct link, or that's who should be receiving your information. Because again, these scammers are way more smarter than we are. Whilst we're working from 9 to 5, they're locked away in a room reading laws, reading guidelines, finding ways to defraud the system. So again, just do your due diligence. We can't avoid it because, like I said, it's the new way, it's a new norm. And so we have to be able to mitigate some of the risks that we will be susceptible to because of all this new technology. But of course, it's convenient, it's cheaper. Like I said, it's a new norm and a new way. So do your due diligence and make sure you protect yourself. So great, Felicia, thank you for sharing. Okay, quite a few hands. Donovan, then we'll go with Latoya, then Sidley, then Sasha, then Deandra. Go ahead, Donovan.
Good morning, Ms. Bella. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
I attended a AML webinar on Thursday, and the topic of the webinar was residual risk of residual criminal proceeds. Now, one of the talking points of that webinar was the US approach versus the Canadian approach to money laundering. And if we all know the typical model of money laundering, the placement lane and integration, it's really divided into like 2 sections, the action section, as well as the mental requirement section. Now, the action section implicates normally people who uses, transfers, transports, transmits, alters, or disposes of any property, etc. Now, the mental state, that can be broken down into 2 parts. People intention, as well as the mental state of the individual who is performing the money laundering. And for the US approach, it normally really centers on the concealment of the funds, but the Canadian approach adds another one, it's the conversion. And for the mental state, the US really requires knowing of money laundering, but Canada adds two other mental states, and that's belief and recklessness. Now, when it comes to uh, belief and recklessness, Canada added belief in its laws, I think around 1990, the speaker was saying, and that's because there was a sting operation that they conducted on this gentleman, and he was attempting to launder money, but he really didn't have any knowledge of it. So they really classified it as belief. And because they classified it as belief, because for belief as compared to knowledge of money laundering, you don't need a predicate crime. So when it comes to knowledge of money laundering, you need a predicate crime. Belief, you don't. And for the recklessness part of it, you also do not need a predicate crime. Now, for recklessness, I think if I can remember, um, you can be guilty even if the property is from a legitimate source, and even if you don't have a belief that the property is dirty. For belief, you can be guilty even if the property is from a legitimate source, and if you believe the property is dirty. So that part I was very interested in because you can be convicted even if you have no idea or if you just believe you're carrying out the money laundering. And the other aspect he was talking about was that you don't have to be like the primary individual that's taking part in the money laundering. You could just be a third party. So if you believe that you're aiding and abetting someone, if you have knowledge of it, or if you was reckless in doing it, you can be convicted of it. And he also said that attorneys can be implicated as well, because if you counsel someone, you can possibly be in breach of those money laundering offenses as well. And so that was the highlight that I took from that seminar.
Okay, so excellent, Donovan. And again, today we're going to touch on some of the court orders that I guess what you get when you do become a money launderer or a terrorist. So very good. You know, I always say that when we take these positions, like you said, just the belief, most of us are, you know, could be possibly charged just with negligence. And it's simply because we never read our policy and procedure. We don't understand our job description. We don't know what our responsibilities entail. And it's, you know, a lot of times, you know, we used to say, well, I don't know. I thought it was the manager's job or that's above my pay scale. So all of those are thrown out the window with the new law. So again, do not take these positions if you are not aware of the risk involved in your position and how to mitigate that risk, okay? Because you may find yourself in the States, like he said, just the, you know, the belief and being negligent. And again, like I think I mentioned this in the first class, we are very lucky. We are innocent until proven guilty. In Brazil, you are guilty until proven innocent. So once you accuse, they you know, they haul you off and they lock you up, and then you have to prove that you're innocent. Okay, so be very careful, because some of us may go and work in other territories. So ensure that you know the laws of that country if you do decide to go on. So very good, Donovan. Thank you for sharing. Latoya.
Good morning, Ms. Buller. Good morning, everybody. I attended a Toastmasters on Thursday, Destined for Success 3956. The word of the day was a gastopia. The meaning of that is the visual enjoyment of the appearance of a specific physical aspect of another. They had a guest speaker, Mr. Surgeon Neely, and the topic was love. He stated that love is like a seed. You put in it and it gets into you. And he spoke about John 3:16, so where God so loved the world. And that was basically it for the meeting.
Okay, so Latoya, how did you introduce yourself to anybody? How did you feel about, was it the first time you attended?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so did you find it beneficial? Would you go back?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so very good that you found it beneficial. And again, like I said, these are the movers and the shakers in the corporate, the Bahamas corporate world. So these are the people that you wanna, you know, when
Yes.
yeah, career development, we have our social development and then we have our career development. So like I always say, you're not looking for godparents or boyfriends or girlfriends. You're looking for somebody to go to the fish fry with, but you're looking to share knowledge, speak, share ideas. We're in desperate need for new leadership in the country. And so, you want like-minded people around that you can come up with, you want to be innovative, share knowledge, share ideas, and you want to get to the next step in your career. So I
Yes.
do hope that you all find this beneficial and or go back out and like we are the future leaders of our country, and hopefully some of us will get together and form, good, I don't want to say coalitions, but good groups that go out and save our nation. So very good, Latoya. Sidlian, you wanted to say something, Latoya?
No, ma'am.
No, that's it. Okay, great. Thank you for sharing. Sidlian?
Hello, thank you. Morning, everyone. I'm not sure if I got like 10% already, but I still wanted to share. I was able to attend a Toastmaster meeting Thursday. It was First Bahamas Toastmaster 1600 Club. I think it's majority men, but they still
How you get to that, Sidlian? That's an all men club. How you get to that?
Exactly.
And they only allow females once per year at Valentine's. They normally have a Valentine's special for the females. How you get to that club?
I also attended a couple of them meetings too. So they they say that they're all men, but it's not necessarily so.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it was interesting because not until because I was asking around for a Toastmaster event that was happening that Thursday, and so my friend sent me that flyer. Not until I got in and I saw there was majority men, but there were 3 other women in there, and they still allowed us, to enter and I guess be a part of it. So they allowed us to introduce ourselves, which I did. I said, you know what, I'm going to make an effort to actually, be a part of it, whatever they would like the guests to do. So I did that. They had, the word of the day was conundrum. And so I was able to speak and give my idea of what conundrum means, to be faced with a problem. And so the meaning of conundrum they gave was a confusing and difficult problem or question. One of them gave the scenario, the example, to be lost in the desert without a phone. And then someone else said to look for a job without having experience, to find a job without having experience. So I thought that was interesting. So yeah, that kind of actually brought it more meaning to the actual word. They had multiple speakers. They had about 4. The theme of that night was one shot. So at each point, the speakers had to incorporate the theme within their message. One of the guys spoke about fatherhood and how he had one shot to really be there for his kid. During the early stages, he wasn't. He was, not that he wasn't, but he didn't take it seriously. And then he realized that something clicked, and he had to switch and switch gears and really be there for his child and be a father figure for him. The other one had man up. The other one had in a blink, and another gentleman spoke about one life. So whatever you are faced with in life, taking the opportunities to challenge yourself, and not that opportunities only come around once as we are made to believe, but sometimes you are presented with the same opportunity in different settings or in different stages of your life. So it was really, really interesting. to say the least. It was a great time. I think that I will look for another Toastmaster to attend, because I think they when they were done speaking, they had persons, I guess, just giving the reviews and giving them constructive criticism of, what they could have. Hello?
Hello?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
somebody needed to mute their mics, yeah.
No problem. So they had
Okay.
persons doing reviews. They had like a review panel. So one person had different persons review each of them, giving them constructive criticism about what they could have done better. They started off with great, all the good things, and then they did what they think they could have done better. And I thought that was great. So it don't really, bring their spirit down, but still boost them up with encouragement, so that they will come back and do even better at speaking, or even their presence. They also spoke about the and the fillers that we use, which I laughed, because when they called on me, they called on guests, and they called on me to give a review of the entire night. And I started off with, and I said, oh my gosh, this is not for me. So, but it was great. It was great. I would encourage anyone to attend, because you learn a lot, and they take literally words that you use on a regular to create topics and discussions. And I thought that was great. And then it was chill afterwards. So that was me for my Toastmaster. I had an opportunity to also look at the papers again this week. Thursday in the Guardian, they posted the risk level. There was an assessment done on the Bahamas by S&P Global. So they posted a brief but a little insert in the papers about our risk assessment, and they said that we're at a level 4. The entire Caribbean region is average at risk at 5, but for the Bahamas we're a 4, and Cayman Islands and Bermuda were risk leveled at 3. They said some of the factors they evaluated us on were our economic risk, institutional and governance, effectiveness risk, financial system, and payment culture, rule of law risk. So I think for me, it pushed me to go and research more on Cayman Island and Bermuda, just to see what's happening there, since their risks are much lower than ours. Well, not much, but lower than ours, to see, okay, how come they got a 3 and we got a 4?
So Cayman is still a British colony, and so they are a little bit more privileged than we are. And even with the taxation, when we signed into all the various tiers for the FACA and the CRS, you found that Cayman was non-reciprocal, which means you can send us our citizens that have accounts in your country, but we're not going to send it to you. And so, being a small Caribbean island, you would think that America said they're non-reciprocal, but of course, America is America. Nobody can. They're supposed to be the most powerful nation in the world, so you could understand why America is non-reciprocal. UAE said we're non-reciprocal. Again, you send us the information. We're not going to send you any information. Was there any ramifications? Were they blacklisted? No. Again, the Saudis have all the oil and all the money, so it's a rich country, and so really you have no control over them. But Cayman, a little small Caribbean island, why were they allowed? And so you'd see that because they are British colony, whilst the UK will sign in all these laws, because again, they don't want to be blacklisted by the FATF and the other international bodies. So Cayman is their little special island where they do all their dirt, or they get away with, things with the Bahamas definitely wouldn't get away with. Okay, so Cayman is a little special and privileged, more privileged. Enough, and that's the street version. I'm not gonna say this bullet say, but from my research, that's what I have gathered. Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. Now that you say that.
Yeah. So you would say, well, how come Cayman always gets away with this, and it's because they are protected by, they don't do any dirt. The UK has to stay clean. All the dirt is happening down in Cayman. Okay, so very good. And I'm glad, Celine, you enjoyed it and you participated, and you seem excited and you found it beneficial. And again, these are the people that you need to know. These are the people that are in position in corporate Bahamas. And like I say, all of us at the end of the day will be qualified. Who will Miss Bullard choose? People who I'm familiar with. So get out there, introduce yourself, build that network as strong as Ben Laden. Okay?
Yes,
Do good and do good with it. Do good with it. Don't be like Bin Laden. Do good with that network. Okay, you want to be able to do good with it. Don't copy anything else that he did, except the strong network. All right, very good. Sasha.
Okay, good morning. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so I read an article from the Tribune that was published on May 11th. And it was by the Minister of State for Finance, Kwesi Thompson. And they spoke about the how they're trying to move all our government services online. So right now, you know that online you can do you can renew your passport, and you can renew your birth and marriage certificate, your death certificate, and police record.
Now, Sasha, these things working because Miss Bullard passport just about to expire. Are they working though? I hear they saying it.
Yeah, do it. They said
Can somebody verify? Anybody tried these things yet?
They're encouraging people to do it.
I know the passport.
So my mother did hers online, hers and my sister's, and it worked. You
The
just,
renewal, yes, I heard
yeah.
working.
In regards to the birth certificate, death certificate, marriage certificate, you have to make an appointment. You have to send an email to an email address they provide you with that's on their door, and you have to make an appointment. You have to wait for them to respond. They're going to send an email back with a day and time. And they ask you, when you do send the email, they ask you for all of the information that you need.
I'm uncertain when that may have started because she just did hers earlier this year, probably like March, I think like March, April, like a few months ago. And all they required her to do was drop those documents to, is it inquiries? That little front door, like she didn't have to book an appointment or anything.
This is for a passport?
Yes.
Okay, well, you go a different place to get marriage certificate, death certificate, and birth.
To the registrar, right? Well, I would assume that if you don't have those things already.
Say that again?
I would assume that if you don't have those things with you already, because someone like my mother, she already had not our, but their birth certificates and things like that.
Well, yeah, so, if she has all of those, then she would just turn them in. But if you need to get one of those documents, you're gonna have to send an email to make an appointment.
Okay, so they perhaps still have some kinks to iron out. Okay, but it's good to know that people have verified that it is actually working. Okay, great. Sasha, continue.
Okay, and then what they want to include is conduct a deed and document searches. So applications for the replacement of driver's license, applications for new PO box numbers and renewals, and applications for new and renewed notary public licenses. That's what they want to add. Their plan is also to add one every 6 to 8 weeks. And they want to have a total of 200 different portals available within the next 5 years.
Okay, excellent. Okay. And again, I do hope they're doing their due diligence and ensuring that they check all the cybersecurity that is needed to go along with that, because you don't want, like the other day you all heard that ZNest was hacked.
Yes, I heard that. they have $3 million to play with.
They did. Oh, okay.
I mean, 30 million. Sorry, 30 million. They have $30 million to play with from the Inter-American Development Bank.
Okay. So good.
Last year or something like that?
Say it again, Donovan.
I said, weren't they hacked last year or something like that?
Yeah, Zadness was hacked last year, and they had threatened like I read one, was it $20,000 or you could
Oh,
be
yes, yes,
yes,
yes, I remember that.
for a few days. So yeah, we want to ensure that their cyber security, they have compliance officers manning and checking and doing and making sure that nothing is hacked. Because I couldn't believe of all the places you hacking Zednest. I mean, really, people could pay to watch what is it, channel 11 or 12? 11. Yeah, good old Zednest was hacked. So we gotta make sure that we have the proper controls in place to mitigate the risk, with all that information being stored, I guess, somewhere in the cloud. So you have to make sure that information is protected.
But then I guess they also want to do this to stop so much hand in cash.
Sorry?
I said, I guess they're also trying to push this to stop so much hand in cash with government agencies.
Yeah, correct. Because even if you go down to the Carmichael Road, to license your car, they say they're cashless.
Yeah, a lot of them
Yeah.
are becoming cashless.
Yeah.
I have a friend who works for Ministry of Finance, and he's actually a part of this project, and he says they are going into the agencies one by one and showing them how to work the new system, and so they can make everyone cashless eventually.
Okay.
So it's an ongoing process.
Right. Okay. So that's very good. Very good. Okay, Sasha, thank you so much for that. Deandra?
Hi, morning.
Morning.
I just wanted to share about an article that I read in the Tribune, and it's so ironic that we were talking about the cybersecurity and making sure that they have the proper things in place, because the article I read was actually about cybersecurity and how we in the Bahamas have to make sure that our cybersecurity but we have to do some enhancements on our cybersecurity because it's not as good as it should be, with the especially with all of the hacks and enhancement of the hacks that have been happening, especially since COVID. And they made reference to the hack that just happened in I think it's in the U.S. with the gas and the oil, and caused the shortage of gasoline.
Was that a hack, or I thought the pipe, they hacked the pipe, the system for the piping?
No, it was a hack.
They say that it was a hack, apparently the Russians or something like that.
Oh,
I don't know how.
I thought a pipe broke. I was like, okay, a pipe broke and they can fix it.
No,
I was like,
happened-
why these people in a frenzy?
Yeah, apparently it was a hack.
Oh, wow.
By a Russian-based group. And so they're actually looking into it now to see exactly what was proposed and how they could work around it and what's not. But yeah, they were just saying that how the hacks are becoming so global now, and they're not just being based on, okay, we're going to go to these individuals' accounts. While they're still doing that, they're now becoming more enhanced and more active, and how the Bahamas is, even the government and everyone needs to now, the businesses need to get on board with coming together and beefing up our cybersecurity.
Yeah, and you know what? A few years ago, at least 2 years ago, there were two ladies in my class, and they said they worked at Rubus, and it was like, "Mom, we know nothing about compliance, we know nothing about business or what have you, but we are now being trained to be the compliance officers," and this was for Rubus, and I was like, "Really?"
But remember,
What
Ms.
happened at
Willard,
the gas station? But
remember a
yeah,
few years ago, the registry was hacked.
Okay, yes. So again, all of everybody needs to be trained, and this is how widespread compliance is going to become, because now I'm certain now that there has to be somebody to monitor compliance with the systems, to work with IT to ensure that something like that does not happen again. But like I said, about at least 2 years ago, Rubis had sent their persons from their head office to be trained to, I guess, protect, put controls in place to ensure that they were protected. So I guess the gas industry, was working on it, and the hackers got in just before, just before they, became expert at it,
Yeah.
But yeah, so those ladies did very well, and they were successful in the program. Yeah, and they worked for us. So again, don't just think about the financial services sector. Don't think about, the hotels or insurance. No, it's all the various industries will need compliance officers as well. or persons to review, their risk. Okay, so when you see that job ad for, the gas industry, don't be afraid. What you have to do is find out who their regulators are, what the laws are, and start reading and just update yourself. And those gas industries, they pay loads of money. Okay. Okay, so just a little tip so you know. Okay. Okay, very, very good, Deandra. Thank you, Alfreda. Okay, we'll come back to.
Morning, sorry,
Okay.
can you hear me?
Morning. Yes.
Hi,
yes, go
sorry
ahead.
about that.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to piggyback off of, because the article I wanted to discuss was the same article that DeAndre just spoke about. The Bahamas stepping up their game as it relates to cybersecurity. So the gentleman, Scott McKinsey from Cloud Carib, he, basically said that we need to step up our game because the attacks are happening globally and the frequency of it has increased. He basically gave examples as to how that could affect us locally by things that we do every day. And he gave the example of an HR department accepting resumes from, potential applicants and persons embedding some form of malware into the resume. And of course, when the HR personnel opens this, it infects basically the whole system.
Oh, wow.
And most of us are now working, well, some of us are still working at home. So, our servers are compromised. And so, yeah, we have to step up on that. But reading that particular article, it brought back, this was something that happened, I think about maybe 6 or 7 years ago. A company that I worked for, I'm not exactly sure how it was done, but someone hacked into the system and they basically compromised the whole server. And they basically told the company, listen, you need to pay us 3,000 Bitcoins. Otherwise, you're going to lose all of your information forever. And so they essentially had to pay. I don't know what became of that, but yeah. So
Yeah.
that's all I wanted to share.
Okay, yeah, so like I said, be very careful. And again, with compliance, I'm not very IT savvy, and to me, IT professionals, they speak another language, and that is my biggest complaint is like, what are you talking about? Are you speaking English? But as compliance professionals, we need to, build a strong relationship with the IT department to ensure that they understand compliance and that we understand what they do. There are all areas of the financial institutions. Some institutions offer credit, and you're thinking, oh, I don't know anything about credit. I never work in credit. I don't know anything about finance, Ms. Buller. I don't work in finance. But again, this is why you have to train your senior management. And I even had to go as far as to include it in their job descriptions, insist that, not only the laws of poker, like failing to disclose and tipping off is included in their job descriptions, but to let them know as the senior official in this department, you are responsible for the risk, okay? Because I am only going to know credit on the surface. I am only going to know finance on the surface. I'm only going to know IT on the surface. I need you to speak your language that I can understand, and both of us can ensure that we put proper controls in place to mitigate the risk. I was at an institution where, compliance hoarded all the information, and they felt like they could run the entire company. And of course, that company failed. Okay. And then there are instances where, the head of the department think that, oh, I processing wires all day. I don't have time for risk. That's your job. There has to be somebody who is the expert in that department that will liaise and network with compliance to ensure the institution is protected, okay? And this is why we say that compliance is everybody's job. There's no one person can ensure that, you are knowledgeable in IT and knowledgeable in compliance. No, it's a team effort, okay? So you want to ensure that the persons who are expert in credit or expert in finance, they work with you. And that's when you remember when I talked about cooperation of we receive all this information, are we checking? Do we know how to read financials? No, I'm not a CPA. I don't know. I can read a balance sheet, but will I sign off on it and say this company is profitable and whatever? No, the person in finance, that should be their job. Okay, so you have to collaborate with the various departments and have persons on hand. Listen, in order for me to approve this account to open, you have to do your part. So there is, compliance has to coordinate that team effort and ensure that you have the expert giving you expert advice or doing their part. If you try to do it on your own, you will fail because like you can't be expert in credit, expert in finance, expert in HR, expert in IT. Yeah, you're expert in compliance. Okay, so it's a team effort. Okay, very good. I'm very excited about like this conversation that we're having, that everybody is abreast, everybody is aware. We're picking up the newspaper, we're comprehending what we're reading, and we know how hopefully it affects our industry. And again, it creates some awareness. What should I look out for at work? What should I, check and make sure that my institution is not success, they feel that it's it could be easily infiltrated. Okay, so very good. Okay, that's it for the hands. Did I get everybody? Yeah, I think I did. Okay, so very good. So
I come to get my 10% in this class.
okay, go ahead, Eleanor. But again, most of these persons already had their 10%, but very good. Very good. I'm going to call on some other names. If Ms. Bullet does not know your name today, and this is the last class out of the book, I am going to be calling on to you because we're going to do some reading. So I want to make sure that everybody is covered. Okay, Eleanor, go ahead.
Hey, I have good one story. I have a story to share with the class. I am a victim. I just found out recently of fraud. I just got an email from an offshore company, an outsourced company that RBC works with, saying that I owe RBC $717 with a unauthorized transaction that happened May 2020. I was like, oh my God, I never used RBC last year. The last time I used my RBC account was in 2019. So like I told the lady, please do some investigation because I am 100% sure that was not me. So like I was reaching out to her. She said she was going to do her investigation. It's been a month now. So I called back. She didn't answer the phone. When I called on Wednesday was gone. I called back. She didn't answer. A next lady, I called her mobile phone. And the next lady answered her mobile number. So I talked to her. I said, this is Eleanor Major, and I'm calling because I am very concerned that I owe an RBC all this money. And now that this account is to an outsourced company, I know it's getting ready for legal actions. So I really want to know what it is, like how all of this happened, when is the deadline for me to pay this money off? I want to know all of that. So like she was saying, she see where the lady started her investigation. Hello?
I'm here, I'm listening.
Okay, okay. So I was saying, I asked her, I said, want to see where, she said she saw where the lady started her investigations. And Ms. Bullet right now, that have me going, I don't know, from...
No, just stay calm, Eleanor, because you said a key thing, because I worked at Royal Bank for 16 years. That's the base of my foundation of my career. And what we found that, like you said, I haven't used this account from 2019. That's the red flag right there, because what they do is they look at, normally your account should be dormant, and they look, a lot of fraud happens across dormant accounts. So we had to put a lot of controls in place to protect customers that accounts were dormant or there's no transaction and nobody paying attention to it. Okay, so that's just what happened to you. Your account perhaps became dormant, and perhaps Royal didn't put in the proper controls, like we get your file, we lock it away in dual custody. That means that 2 persons have to go in to retrieve your file, and there's some other controls. Compliance have to sign off on every transaction. And so we put those controls in place because loads of fraud were going on across those accounts. that had no transactions or that were dormant. So that's just what happened. You fell in that category. So they'll rectify it because that, like I said, that's a common occurrence.
Okay, because she, like the lady was explaining to me, she said someone went into the ATM and deposited a empty envelope and then retrieved the money off. And I know for sure it wasn't me.
Okay, well, somebody had your PIN number or somebody hacked into your account. And again, those ATMs have cameras, and so they can actually see who it is. Hopefully, if the person did not want a hoodie and a mask, which they normally do, but they should be able to see if it's your body frame or what have you. So it's going to take some time to retrieve that information. So just keep following up. And you should don't be alarmed. If you know it wasn't you, you have nothing to be alarmed about. And you just have to wait until they fix it.
Okay.
Okay. And if they take you to court, you simply go to court and say, I have lodged a complaint and they are investigating it. Now, if you don't get any satisfaction, Royal Bank has an office of the ombudsman, and the office of the ombudsman deals with unsatisfied or unresolved areas where customers would have made complaints. Also, Central Bank is the regulator, and they are now establishing the office of the ombudsman. But normally when banks or securities companies or whatever, they don't satisfy customers pick up the phone right away and lodge a complaint. So hopefully you don't have to go that far, but all you have to do is tell them the next time you talk to them and say, listen, this has been outstanding for too long, I'm going to call Central Bank. They'll jump right up. Or say, I'm going to call your ombudsman, because they have that internal.
Okay.
And they'll satisfy it. They'll resolve it for you immediately. Just a little threat and they'll resolve it immediately.
Okay. And the next thing, I attend a Rotary meeting. It was, I guess they was talking about, this lady came on and she was explaining how the little sunflowers and the brownie girls, they needed more funds to actually help with their building and stuff like that. And a lot of people who was on it, they just was like, donating. Oh, this lady is like, oh, I have $300 towards it. Then somebody else donated. Somebody even donated some plants to decorate in the front of it. Somebody donated their time to actually plant the plants. So I was like, okay, this looks like something that I want to be a part of, because you get people actually wanting and willing to help, So I think, that's just basically it. And they said, like, they was doing like happy birthday, happy anniversary shout outs and, stuff like that.
Okay. So very good. Very good. And so it was, what you were saying, it was just a fundraiser or?
Yeah, she was like looking for help for help finishing off the Brownies headquarters. I think that's right on across the road from Long Wharf Beach, their headquarters. With this building here right by the fort. She was looking for more money to finish off their building. And she asked a few people, and a lot of people jumped on it with donations.
Okay, very good. Okay, I see, Lam, you want to say something?
Yes, ma'am. I just want to share with the group an article I read. I read it from last week. It's just a bit of a back and forth between the European Union and Russia. The European Union had imposed sanctions on Russia, and Russia seemed to be in a bit of a back and forth with the European Union. It was just a surprise for me to know that there are countries that's actually pushing back against the European Union. The Russia had barred eight officials from the European Union countries from entering, based on a sanction that the European Union put on Russia for Russia not adhering to some of the policies that they put in place. And it just was really a shocker to me to know that there's countries that actually stand up when the European Union says, okay, well, this is what you have to do. And Russia came at a standpoint and told them that they feel like they're openly and deliberately undermining the independence of Russia. of Russia's domestic and foreign policy based on policies that they're trying to impose on Russia.
Just
And
very good, because when you know what happened to the Bahamas, when Peter Turnquest lashed out at them and said, you know, the more I put in place, the more regulation you come up with, you're trying to wipe out my sector. We got blacklisted. And not only we not only got blacklisted, the OECD said, okay, we're not going to blacklist you any longer. We're going to let individual countries blacklist you. And of course, you know who are the same players: the president of France, the president of the UK, or the prime minister, and Germany, and all the EU countries. Immediately, the Netherlands blacklisted us. Immediately, France blacklisted us. Okay, so we went from having one overall blacklist by the EU and the OECD to every country in Europe blacklisting us. Again, the same players, they you know, so I guess Putin, they live a bit afraid of Putin. They, you know, they just slap us around, but you know, again, they just slap Putin around.
Right, and then also I think they couldn't find nothing at one point, nothing else about Russia. So what they did was they launched an investigation on LGBT discrimination in I think it was the southern part of Russia, the southern region in Russia, and they imposed sanctions on 4 Russian officials who was close to the president Vladimir Putin back in March gone, based on the accused discrimination. So they finding more reasons now to put restrictions on Russia and dealings with Russia based on the fact that Russia won't bow to them.
Well, right, and that's exactly what they do. So again, like I said, the Bahamas, you know, we were deficient in 22 of the 40 recommendations, but if you look around the world, each country, and including these European Union countries, Netherlands, Germany, Switzerland, they did what was best for their economy and what was best for their country. Okay, the Bahamas did the same thing. So if we deficient in 22 and Switzerland deficient in 20 and this one deficient in 30, why is it that, you know, they lash out at us and they blacklist us and cause us, they cause us reputational risk immediately? So, you know, if you really, you have to follow the full story, because, you know, persons will say, when you were deficient in 22, so was every other country in the world. Okay, that are 10 times larger than us, that have more resources than us, that had the money to be able to put these rules and regulations in place. In fact, when it came to the taxation, America, the IRS spent, I think it was $38 million to implement the system for FACA. Does the Bahamas have $38 million? I mean, we can have the first million be in a deficit. Okay, so anyway, so good, Ian. You know that you're seeing what's happening in other parts of the world.
That's Brendan.
Oh, sorry, Brendan. Sorry, yeah, Brendan. Yeah, that's Ian's name is showing up right now. That's why I call it. Sorry. Yeah, it's good that you pay attention, and like every time you read a story, you have to look at the author of the story and who wrote this piece, and then, you know, do a little bit of research to know the true story of, you know, the two sides, and then, you know, make your determination. But don't just always follow, you know, the media and what the media says. You have to delve a little bit deeper if you want to know the truth. Okay. Okay. So thank you for that. Is that it? Do we, Jasmine? Okay, so we'll get back to Jasmine.
No, sorry, here I am. Yes, ma'am. Sorry, here I am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I know we have to get on with class, but I want to bring up something, nothing relevant to this class. I think about 2 weeks ago, you asked us about artificial intelligence.
Thank you, Jasmine.
And we never got to talk about that.
Jasmine, I woke up one night, 2 a.m. and I say, did I ask the class about artificial intelligence?
You did not.
And then I went right back to sleep and I forgot. So very good, because I did remember that like a week ago. I still forgot to ask you all. Okay, and that was from the first class. So all of you, All of you
Well,
should.
I did write down mine, but since you
Me
didn't
too. I
ask,
have
I
mine,
didn't bring it.
but
I didn't bring it up.
but I have mine, but because we're, like I said, I don't work in the financial sector, and I really want to know what's going on. I don't want to be lost in the shuffle. I did the research on, I'm not research, I looked at the meeting, but I wanted us to have a discussion on it so I could have a better understanding.
Okay, so what did you come up with the artificial intelligence?
From what I'm understanding, let me read what it says. The ability to process large volumes of data with speed and accuracy. The technology can be used to assist business leaders to understand compliance requirements easily and take appropriation. From what I'm getting is like it's just like regular, like a computer. You put stuff, it simplifies it, but you still need some kind of human reaction.
Okay, so basically, when you call one of these banks right now, you don't speak to anybody. You speak to the artificial intelligence. Press 1 to take you to credit. Press 2 to take you to, that's the artificial intelligence right there.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And then a lot of us to pin our cards. We type our number into the phone, or we call out the number, and then we pin our cards over the phone, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
That's the artificial intelligence.
Okay.
So imagine if that is hacked.
Boy.
Okay. And so this is why I say go on the Securities Commission a website, subscribe, join the FinTech Hub. With FinTech is RegTech, the regulation that protects you, or the controls that need to be in place if you're going to have these services at your organization. Okay, so that's why I wanted you all to know. And again, in my ICA class, that's the question: are compliance professionals prepared for this new technology? Do they understand it? There's not going to be any more brick and mortar banks. Okay, everything is going to be online, and right now there are a lot of securities broker dealers that are online. Are we knowledgeable to protect those institutions? Can we even work in those institutions? No more paper, everything online. Everything is done online. Okay, so I just wanted you all to understand. And again, ATMs are replacing tellers, right? Scotiabank has gone cashless. Okay, all of that is a part of artificial. You're talking to a computer and not a person. Okay, and then so what do we do now as human beings to compete with this new technology? Because of course they are more efficient than we are. They can process more transactions than we could. 24 hours a day. We have to go to 8 hours, for sleep, 8 hours for rest, 8 hours for leisure. Okay, so how do humans compete? What do we do next? Okay, just to get you thinking again about awareness. Another thing I had asked you to do is watch Dirty Money. Did you did most of us watch Dirty Money on Netflix, and we have that awareness of what could happen?
Yeah, I started
Yes,
to watch
ma'am.
that. It's deep.
Yes,
We
ma'am.
have a lot going on.
Right. Okay. So we see how Volkswagen defrauded the world.
Yes.
And we see how we need to protect ourselves, where they hyphenated the name and were able to open these accounts for these drug dealers. Right. Again, it's awareness, because a lot of us are surprised. When we read the article about terrorism, we were surprised. We never thought somebody would go to the bank and get a loan. We never thought that the person standing on the line at social services who were affected by Hurricane Dorian are going to give their social service check to Islam, or to bring somebody from to do a domestic terrorism. We never imagined that, right? Because we would never do something like that. Okay, so again, all of this is to open your minds and open your your ears and think outside the box. Okay, in my next class right now, as you get to intermediate, each year we pick a topic. One semester back, we took we had a topic drug dealing already, but we had to switch that because somebody sat in my class and they said, Miss Bullard, well, I work in the casino, and 2 o'clock in the morning, this was before the pandemic, we have these girls that look non-coherent, and the guys are there gambling, but these girls, like, you could ask them if they want something to drink or what have you, and They're just non-coherent. What should I do? I said, what do you do? He said, nothing, because I'm afraid. I don't want to be in no mix-up. Okay? So if you're afraid and you don't want to be in a mix-up, who is the gatekeeper? The compliance professional is not in the casino 3 o'clock in the morning. Okay? Then I said, okay, our topic has switched because we all need to be educated. We did human trafficking. And then we found that there was 70,000 Black women in America missing. Okay? And so people are literally not aware that, hey, this could be a trafficked person. Why is this person always incoherent? And very young girls. And he said, but okay, now, Miss Bullitt, you caused me to be afraid to go to work. I said, but again, you are air compliance is everybody's business. When you see these young girls again, you have to pull out, document the cameras all around the casino. You don't have to take a picture. You could say at this time, so compliance could go on and watch on the camera and then make a decision, do the investigation. That's why you have an MLRO. But that could be a whole ring. Okay, but we are too afraid. And again, first of all, we don't even know what to look out for. Because he just haphazardly said that in the class. And until I made them do their project and everything on human trafficking, and he was like, oh my God, but I need a new job. Okay, so please watch these things and these readings and pay attention so you can know what's happening out there in the world. Because for some reason we are, I guess, naive to the streets. I don't know. These things are unbelievable, you know? And so human trafficking, and remember there are 21 crimes that are listed under money laundering, and one is human trafficking. And so 70,000 women are missing because everybody turns a blind eye. There's a show on television now where they set up a girl being harassed and they want to see if persons are going to help her. And a lot of people walk away and just mind their business. Okay, but we are the gatekeepers. We cannot turn away and mind our business. There should be an internal form where this is suspicious. Please just investigate it to make sure that this person has not been kidnapped. You never know. Okay, you never know. So everybody has to be trained on what to look out for. Okay. All right, so which brings us to court orders. Jasmine, you wanted to say something else, or did Ms. Bullitt just go south?
No, sorry, I'm gonna move my hand. Thank you.
You're good? Okay, great.
Yes, ma'am, thanks.
Okay, great. Okay, so hopefully you had the opportunity to read chapter 8. And again, all these crimes are listed, you know, in the framework is the Proceeds of Crime Act. And so basically, there are various types of court orders. I'm going to put them up on the screen. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, and we want, okay, great. And so we want some persons who do not have their 10%, who we have not heard from at all. And this is the last opportunity for us to hear from them. We want to go through these court orders because again, we are experiencing them now in our, I guess, our institutions, and we want to know what they're all about and what happens. Okay, so the persons who Ms. Bullitt does not know, and now I have 25 persons, so nobody who spoke today, everybody who spoke today is fine. Everybody else, do I need to call names or are we gonna have volunteers?
I want to read.
Okay, not all at once, no. Jasmine, put your hand down. Whistling, can you mute your mic? Okay, so the persons who we do not know. I don't see any hands going up. Okay, do I need to call these names then? I guess so, because everybody going quiet. You're still there, or y'all just fall off the call. Y'all still there?
Yeah.
Okay, so I need some hands to go up. Nobody who spoke today.
My hand is up. My hand is up, Ms. Billard.
Who is that? Let's see who's up. Okay, that's fine. Okay. And then we have Alex, who is in class with me. And then we want Miss Bean and Leandro and who else? Yeah, Miss Bain and Leon and everybody else whose hand is up. Okay, so we'll start with Latoya with chapter 7. Let me go back to the screen so we can see exactly what we're doing. So each order, we just want you to read what the order says. And so these are various orders that you will be sent, I guess, to your institution in the event somebody would have been money laundering or terrorist financing. And so let me just share before we go there. We all know about the case. Let me see if I can pull this up instead. We all know about the case of Michelle Reckley. Is that name familiar?
It's not familiar to me.
Okay, so what I have up on the screen is the case on the cabinet minister, Elma Campbell and her son Chase. Are we familiar with this case?
Yes,
No.
ma'am.
I
Okay.
think I heard
Yes,
about
ma'am.
it. I'm not really too sure.
Okay, so again, we want to read exactly what happened. So Chase was already, prior to this case, Chase was already out on bail because he had done some fraud at BPL. He was a lawyer at BPL and they let him go, and now he is in trouble again with who is this? He defrauded the Ministry of Tourism along with his mother. Okay, so Latoya, we want to start with you where it says career businessman. You see where my cursor is? Latoya?
Ms. Ben, like to read another.
Let me
I
read
understand
for
what they
then. I
were.
can read for.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Ian.
Okay, where Curry is, right?
Yeah, where it says Curry is a businessman.
Okay, Curry, a businessman, was charged with acquiring $465,000, knowing that it represented the proceeds of crime. His case was adjourned to today at 10:30 a.m. Davis, a marketing executive, was also accused of acquiring $24,000 and $20,550 in September last year during her arraignment.
Mhm.
However, hours later, she returned to court and the prosecution withdrew the charges against her. It is alleged that Campbell and Chase, with intent to defraud, obtained $1.2 million from RBC with a forged check in the name of the Ministry of Tourism, making the amount payable to Campbell Chase Law. It is also alleged that the two transferred $512,000 from their law account to a private RBC Finco account in both of their names, and then transferred another $24,000 from the same joint account to an RBC account belonging to Leah Davis, among other transactions. These include transferring $17,500 to an RBC account in the name of Michelle Thompson, converting $27,000 to an RBC bank draft in the name of Adriana Fox, and converting $15,000 to an RBC bank draft in the name of the public treasury. The pair were also accused of withdrawing $200,000 from their joint account, using another $34,650 from their joint account to purchase a gray 2020 BMW vehicle, and transferring $20,550 from their joint account to Davis. It is alleged that the mother and son also transferred $604,500 from Campbell Chase Law to their joint account and transferred $465,550 from the same account to Bahamas Outdoor Media. Campbell and Chase applied for bail in the Supreme Court yesterday. Campbell, an attorney, served as ambassador to China from 2008 to 2012 during the last Ingram Massey administration.
Okay, thank you for that, Ian. So we see a whole web of transactions, right? And let's imagine that we are the account officer in the bank. At which point should we have stopped these transactions? The transfer comes in, the request comes in to make this transfer. We check the signatures, it matches. Do we just send this instruction out to be paid? or what do we do?
Should verify it.
Sorry? Yeah, so she's a PEP. Alex is saying she's a PEP, so of course she should already be risk rated as high risk, which means she is subjected to enhanced due diligence. And most banks have controls in place. Compliance should sign off on this high risk transaction before it's processed. But we see at least 6 or 7 transactions that were allowed to go through. Okay, and you're busy 10,000 transactions going through a day. You expect the account officer to do a level of due diligence. What should have stood out is when she transferred that money from her company account to her personal account. Because when she opened that company account, it should say, this is for the law firm. What do we do at a law firm? We collect clients' money. This is not our money. What else do? We pay our bills, right? And so in the profile of that account, how do you substantiate that you're sending money to your private account? Okay, so if all of these transactions, they may not have happened at the same time. They may have happened like say days apart, but there should be somebody taking account and saying, hey, why would we be transferring money from your law firm to your personal account? This money does not belong to you. Okay, so these transactions went outside, I would imagine, the profile of her account, of the activities that she would have documented when the account opened. And so do you now see how we can be implicated as the account officer or the institution? We are the gatekeepers. We should never have allowed these transfers. Okay. And then she is a PEP, and so she is subjected to enhanced due diligence. Somebody was not monitoring this account properly.
Shouldn't Chase as well be a PEP as a son?
Yes, of course, Chase. That's yeah. So they both of them. Sorry.
He don't need to be an associated PEP. He should not as PEP.
Yeah, but okay, so
PEP, but that's still a PEP.
There's still a PEP, and then I guess that's how your organization looks at it. There's no one size fits all approach for how you label it. Some people just label all of them as a PEP. We didn't differentiate between it. Okay, so not only that, Chase was already out on bail. So what systems do we have to let us know that Chase was out on bail? Are we world checking? Is the world check scanning every night? Did we have a hit on Chase? Should we have already been I'm monitoring every single transaction and find it, everything that he did suspicious? Did we even know he was already out on bail? Go ahead.
As part of your KYC, do you have to ask somebody, do they have any convictions or do they have any pending matters?
Well, we normally don't ask that. There's World Check. World Check should be able to tell us if there are pending matters or if you get any hits on World Check. Another thing, but a lot of institutions only World Check at the onset. They don't World Check every night. Or they World Check every night and we just don't know that they're World Checking every night. And so I always encourage persons go into your institutions and find out, are you World Checking every night? Because today, Miss Bullitt right here teaching this class, the pandemic, was tough. I have to go out and commit a crime. So it's only as good as the day you do it, right? So that's why it has to be continuous. All right. So they should have had a hit on Chase already. And when all of these transactions started, they should have, this should have never happened. And
I
now
ran his
this
name in World
case,
Check just now and it came up.
And which case came up? Did the BPL case?
2017.
From BPL, right? Or just this one? Yeah.
RBC.
Okay, so if this is on World Check, then how is he even allowed to still open this account? Because in your AML policy, it should see person.
Well, actually, no, because the one from RBC was 2019.
Yeah, this happened in 2019.
Okay, so he has another one from 2017. So that's probably the BPL one there, but they didn't mention the name of the company.
Right, and so what you need to do is go to your institutions and find out, are you were checking these accounts every night? Because we should have gotten it. And we should have already, every transaction that he had done, we should have been watching. Okay, so this, how did this happen? I don't know. Okay, and then is his account supposed to accept $1.2 million? Okay, in the Michelle Reckley case, apparently her account was open just for salary, but she was able to do $1 million plus in transactions. Okay, and so this is how the account officer can go to jail, and this is how the institution can be fined. Okay, the same thing with Edison Sumner. He opened this account, he said it's for investments. How are you allowed to buy a BMW and pay for a trip to Orlando with your family and buy a Rolex watch if this money is for investments and it does not belong to you? Okay, so we are not doing what we are supposed to do as gatekeepers in terms of these accounts, because some institutions don't have the proper metrics in place. Some institutions don't, everybody is working the account. They have 800 accounts, but no, you have to be specifically responsible for a certain amount of accounts so you can know your customer. That's our duty, to know our customer. Okay, and so again, this is called an unexplained wealth. And what happened is they put a seizure order out on her BMW to see the BMW that she bought. They put a seizure order out on they confiscated the BMW. However, this happened just before the pandemic, and they expected her, this, I guess, to be brought before the court or whatever, fast processing, like they say, that always takes 2 years. So the seizure order on her, or the restraint order on her BMW, has expired. So she approached the court, or her lawyers approached the court and said, we'd like our BMW back. Okay, and so in my other class, somebody said, well, it expired. Why can't she get her BMW back? She can't get it back because it's alleged that she bought it with the proceeds of crime. It has not been determined if her wealth is explained or unexplained, and that's one of the orders in this book, an unexplained wealth order. Now, if she can prove that I would have made this from salary, I get proof that I have $1.2 million from salary, both me and my son. I own these assets. I made this money from collecting rent or from an inheritance or from selling property, then fine, you can have your BMW back. But you cannot have your BMW back if the wealth is unexplained for you to be able to afford it. Okay, so just to give you an overview of how it works. Okay, and so what the book says is, under the proceeds of crime, the legislation sets out several court orders, which can be applied to criminal conduct, that was committed. Under POCA, the Proceeds of Crime Act, this framework sets out the following orders: conviction-based confiscation, non-conviction-based civil forfeiture, unexplained wealth orders, and investigative orders. Okay, so there are the 4 types of orders that every other order falls under. They're the 4 categories. So as you look through the book, you can see there's a restraining order, a freezing order, an unexplained wealth order, investigative order, monitoring order, production order, disclosure order. Normally in financial institutions, what we get is a disclosure order where we have to show up to court and give some evidence or testify, or we get a production order. And a production order just means that you must produce certain documents. Okay, and so they are the 2 that you will find in your financial institutions. Okay, the production order to produce, or sometimes we had an employee that was arrested on the job, and so they brought an investigative order. They wanted to look through his computer or what have you, and so they brought that in. Okay, and then of course we know about the freezing order and the seizure order. And again, a lot of this, and Alex, I'm glad Alex is here with us today, because I'm not a lawyer, and a lot of these things are not in layman's terms, but and this is why lawyers stay in business, because you need somebody to interpret. Again, they just like IT is very difficult to determine what they are saying. They use words like instrumentalities and very different, inter alia and all sorts of other words. And so this is why you need that legal person to ensure that you are giving only information that is required. Okay, and so we are going to look through and read through one or two of them. And I think Latoya said to come back. Do you still want us to come back to you, Latoya, or are you ready? Latoya is not there. Okay, so do we understand from what we read about Alma, Chase Campbell, and Alma and Chase Campbell? Do we understand that they had unexplained wealth, and this is why they were arrested? Do we get that?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Yeah, and we say such orders apply to politically exposed person, a public office holder, a respondent to an applicant for civil forfeiture, convicted of an offense punishable with imprisonment in the Bahamas, convicted of an offense punishable with imprisonment under the law of a foreign jurisdiction. So again, once she can explain where she generated this wealth, where she got the 1.2 million from, as well as how she was able to afford the BMW, then of course, there's no issue with supplying her, returning her BMW to her. Or if she's acquitted, of course, her money and her BMW will be returned. But somebody, like I said in the other class, was very upset that, she had asked for a BMW and everybody was like, how possible? You haven't even been to trial yet. And you have not been able to produce evidence that you had the funds to purchase these lavish items. But, she is requesting her items to be returned to her. And again, there are many technicalities in the law. And you only have to hire Lucille or what's the other guy? Wayne Monroe, and they are very good with the technicalities, and so they don't normally win on they beat the system because of the technicalities. Okay, just like how the scammers prey on our ignorance. So if you know the law and the technicalities and how they work, then he's very savvy. Sorry, somebody said something.
Loopholes.
Oh, yeah, the loopholes in the law, and that's how you become rich. Okay, good. Okay, so let's go with Ashley. Ashley, you want to tell
Yes,
us what,
ma'am.
from the screen? Can you see the screen?
No, I can't see the screen.
Yeah, okay. Let me try again. Okay. Is it up now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so read for us what the restraint order is.
Okay, restraint order. The court can make an order even when the person has not been convicted of an offense that A, he committed an offense and is under an investigation or has been charged. B, he has an interest in the property and the property can be subject to an application. C, that the property can not be disposed of, that it can be seized or a receiver can manage it. A receiver has very wide powers in dealing with the subject property, including to sell it, but the court can make orders to guide the receiver. Within 2 days after a restraint order is made, the enforcement authority should give notice to affected persons.
Okay, and the law prior to 218 didn't include, like, back in the day, we had our notorious drug dealers who would put the properties in their mother's name or the cars or what have you. And so the law has now, since 218, been extended. So it's in your mother's name, your girlfriend name, whoever, all of them. If they cannot explain how they would have generated the wealth to purchase these items, they will also be charged. Okay, so no more putting in your mommy and your girlfriend name or in your boyfriend name, because these women commit just as much crime today as men are. And so they extended the law to ensure that everybody is covered. Okay, so property freezing. Who's our next reader? Candace?
I'll read.
Go ahead.
The enforcement property can apply to the court for a property freezing order to preserve the property that is suspected to be the proceeds of crime. The application is made by affidavit in a private hearing and without giving the other party notice. If the court makes a property freezing order, any person with an interest in that property must be given notice of the order within 7 days.
Okay, so if the property, you say, oh, this ain't even my property, this my mommy own. Okay, she will get some notice as well. Okay, and again, this is now the unexplained wealth. If she can't explain where she got this wealth from, then she will be arrested or he will be arrested as well. So everybody has to bring their receipts or bring a copy of the will where they inherited this money, or I work at this job and I get paid so much and I save. You have to be able to produce evidence. Okay, unexplained wealth. Who's our next reader? No next reader?
Miss
I can go.
Candace?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Unexplained wealth order, section 75 to 76. This applies to inter alia, the following: a politically exposed person, a public office holder, a person convicted of a crime punishable by imprisonment, a person who receives property or gifts from criminal activities, persons who have been charged with crimes such as bribery, extortion, or misconduct in public office, falsification of accounts, stealing by reason of service or employment, money laundering, fraud, drug, human or firearms trafficking, Enforcement authority may apply to a court requiring the person to file a declaration of their assets. The enforcement authority's application must have an affidavit which identifies the person, states the suspicion that the person's total wealth exceeds the value of their legitimately obtained wealth, and identifies the property that is believed to be illegally obtained. The court may make a preliminary and unexplained wealth order or require the affected person to appear and explain why the court should not make the order absolute.
Okay, and so I think I told you all, not everybody money launders, and we do have some law-abiding citizens, but of course you know that the politicians, they are supposed to disclose the amount of money they have. I think I told you all the story about Brent Simonet, where he had when he first ran, I think I can't remember the years, in 2017 he had said, or before 2017 when he ran, he had disclosed that he had $50 million. I told you all the story already? No? Okay, so Brent Simonet had said, I have $50 million, and he wrote up his disclosure form or what have you and launched it, but I guess the information place that does that for the politicians. And when he ran in 2017, he then disclosed that he had $150 million. And everybody was mad at Brent, and everybody said, okay, he has to be money laundering. That's the only way he was able to generate this money. But he came out with his mother's will, and his mother left him $100 million. Okay, and then we was mad again. Okay, we was mad. So there are legitimate persons out there who are able to prove how they generated this wealth. And so they, of course, went all the way through that bill and made sure that there was no money laundering from it on his mother's end, and they accepted that. So you could imagine when he got the proceeds from his mother, I don't know if it was in assets or in cash. I believe some of it was in cash. The bank who would have accepted that, again, they would have had to do due diligence to ensure that, hey, your mother didn't do anything unscrupulous to leave you this money, and they corroborated the information that he provided. A lot of times we just say, okay, oh, Brent, mommy leaving this money, see the bill, we throw the bill on file and we don't even check. What type of business was she in? How did she make this money? Okay, is this within our risk appetite? Suppose it said she did it through bootlegging or something like that. Okay, because in, I work in offshore, and so we see a lot of persons who would have, moved to America now. We had one client who was out of Iran, and the mother had made all our money from Iran, but we didn't have an appetite for Iran, so we was not able to open up that account. Okay, so you have to delve a little bit deeper and corroborate the information that is provided to you. Okay, but there are legitimate people out there who make honest money. Everybody is not a criminal. Okay, go ahead. Somebody had.
Isn't he one of the majority shareholders of Commonwealth Bank?
Sorry, isn't he one of
majority shareholders of Commonwealth Bank?
Yes, and many are with the everybody was paved the road. Bahamas hot mix. You own half of the Bahamas meeting. Half of the Bahamas.
I say that to say you made a comment. Whichever bank accepts it, I think we know which bank accepted it.
But they still had to do, even though he may be the shareholder, you can't, there's no law that says because you are a shareholder, we have to. No, you have to do proper due diligence.
Yes, they have to. They're
regulated by the central bank.
And once he brought the will, that would have satisfied it.
Yeah, but he might only have it in the, you don't put all your eggs in one basket.
No, not one basket.
Yeah, so other banks too would have had to carry out some due diligence on him. Not only his special bank. Yeah, but I get you. Very good point. Very good point. Yeah, and again, like I say, only poor people is pay bills. Only poor people is go through having to explain. A brand someone walk in the bank, take all the money. Don't verify nothing. But let me or you try it. That's why we gotta get in these clubs and network with the right people. So we can use it for our good, not bad. We don't want to do the wrong stuff. We want to do the right stuff. Okay. So Alex is here. He's gonna read disclosure orders for us. Hopefully y'all will be able to hear him.
Disclosure order, section 86. This is an order that allows the authorized person to give notice to anyone to answer questions, provide information, or produce documents at a specified time and place. A disclosure order cannot compel a person to disclose something subject to legal privilege. A person commits an offense if he fails to comply with the order, provides false information, or tells unauthorized persons about its existence.
Okay, and tell us, Alex, what is legal privilege for the non-lawyers in the class? What is legal privilege?
Legal privilege would be, I guess, anything that the disclosure order cannot compel a person to disclose something subject to legal privilege. Anything that even a person may confide to their lawyer, but I would say
the legal privilege.
I gotta be honest. If legally, right? If the police asks me anything, only thing I'm legally required to give the police is my name and address.
Okay, so everything else is legal privileges. Okay.
That's how I look at it as criminal law. If police ask me my name, I have to give them my name. If they ask me my address, I have to give them my address. If anything else is no comment.
It's no. I plead the fifth.
I plead the fifth. But legal privilege, I think anything that you tell me between you and your lawyer.
In confidence. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Did we get that class? Hello, are we there?
Yes.
Not really, we could really hear
They
it.
have to repeat what he said.
Okay, and so I experienced a disclosure order. Of course, I worked at the Royal Bank Trust. We were sued by the French government. We were acquitted on some of the first charges of tax evasion. However, again, like I told you all, we had that art work stored in the storage facility. It was in the name of the Royal Bank of Canada. So of course we got disclosure order from the French court, and our relationship manager had to fly to France and testify, or give based on our due diligence and what we carried out. However, 2 days after she, everybody was all excited. Oh, even though we go in the court, we go into France, and we was all excited. However, 2 days afterwards, they had the bombing. And so she's, of course, said, this is outside of my pay grade. I will not be going back, you know. And so the CEO went on her behalf. Okay, so that was an instance of the disclosure order where you had to fly to France and give testimony. Okay. And again, these are the orders which you would probably perhaps see in your financial institution, what you what they will send in. And the last one we'll talk about is production, because this is what compliance officers typically receive, a production order. Okay, so Candace, did you get an opportunity?
Oh, that was just me, but I could read again.
Okay, is Latoya, your hand still up, or is Latoya there? Okay, so let's give it to Latoya, make sure she gets all her points. Go ahead.
Production order, section 87. Application supported by affidavit, ex parte before a magistrate's court. Court orders a person who has possession of control of a document showing location of a relevant property to disclose it. If document is on computer, it must be converted to printed form. The authorized person can copy, inspect, and retain documents for a reasonable period. Restrictions: no right of entry to premise, and not required to produce legal privilege items. For production of information restricted by the Banks of Trust and Companies Regulations Act and the Central Bank Act, an application must be made to a Supreme Court judge.
Okay. Okay, so those production orders come from the FIU. Okay. Okay, so any question on court orders? They are the various type of orders. Like I said, commonly you see in the financial institution is the freezing, the unexplained wealth, the disclosure and the production of what I have received, and that normally comes to the CEO and the MLRO. Okay, so they are the orders that, and normally you hear that when persons are charged in court, they have like 54 counts. With the Michelle Reckley case, the laws were updated in 2018 and she was charged in 2017. So some of these weren't retroactive. And so she started off, say, about with the 50 something charges. However, they are now been reduced to like 30 or even 19, I think now, only charges she has. Okay, so because the laws were not on the books, unexplained wealth was not on the books at the time she committed the crime in 2016. Okay, because of course, POCA was one of our what needed to be repealed and revamped and put more meat in to make sure that when these persons do go to court, they don't just hire Lucy who would been on the technicality. Okay. Okay, so that's the orders. Any questions regarding the orders? Okay. Okay. Clear as mud. Since no response, that means it clear as mud. Okay, so we want to go on to chapter 8, and just it talks about the various roles, the roles of the board of directors, the role of the compliance department, the role of the AML compliance department. Again, on the compliance, it's a big hat. 2 years ago, it used to be anti-money laundering and then compliance, but ICA has even increased, and now it's anti-money laundering, governance, risk, and compliance, especially since recommendation 1 is being enforced, where we take a risk-based approach. Okay, and so therefore should be, depending on the client, if you have 100 clients, then you can perhaps wear a risk hat, an AML hat, and a compliance hat. But if you have more than 100 accounts, you perhaps need a risk person at a senior level, a compliance person, and an AML person. So that AML person will deal with the hits, the various hits on accounts. Everybody's name should be being scanned every night. All these transactions should, there should be thresholds in the system that give you alerts and what have you, or sometimes you may have to do it manually. Then that AML person will deal with training. That AML person will deal with opening accounts. And then the daily activity is that, you know, if persons have questions, then there's regulatory compliance where you deal with the regulators, you deal with the surveys, you deal with audits, you deal with policy and procedure. And then there's risk. Of course, we know that the risk assessment is only as good as the day you complete it, because everything can change tomorrow. But of course, you know, it's a live document that's current, you know, constantly changing. Okay, so one of the problems in the institutions is that they hire a compliance officer, they expect you to be AML, risk, sometimes legal, and corporate governance. Okay, so you wear many hats. And one time, I think I told you on the story where we went into an organization to audit their compliance department. And we were told to go to one person to get the corporate governance information, the legal information, the AML information. And we said, is this person the coordinator? They said, no, that person manages all those. So we said, no, the audit has to stop. This person is overwhelmed. There's no way, you know, there's no way, right? Correct, Felicia, you're trying to save money, of course, because they don't see the benefit of compliance protecting the organization from getting fines and being shut down. They don't see that. So they overwhelm one person. And so when you go on these interviews, you want to ensure that you ask these questions. What percentage of your business is high risk? What percentage, you know, how many persons do you have a compliance department? Because a lot of times they want to hire one senior person and they give you an assistant. It does not work if you have more than 200 accounts. If you have 100 accounts, you could possibly balance it. But if the institution is growing, then for proper oversight, you will need to hire more senior persons to help you carry out your day-to-day duties. Candace, your hand is up. You want to say something? Candace? No? Okay. Okay, so who would have read chapter 8? Who understands these various rules and what needs to happen?
I read it.
I read.
Okay, so to tell us
I read
what you got. And a popular question on the exam is, whose responsibility, who does the responsibility lie on for AML compliance in an institution? Whose responsibility is that, Felicia?
The MLRO.
No.
What's
No,
the
no,
question?
No, it's the responsibility of everyone.
No, no, no.
It's the responsibility of that institution.
Could you repeat the question, please, Ms. Bullitt?
Yeah, repeat the question for me, please.
Okay, let me read from the book. The primary responsibility for delivering compliance.
It's with the board of directors.
Correct. Okay, and so
It's
that's
with the board of directors, and they supposed to, of course, task it to whichever individual it is that they want to take responsibility for it on a daily basis. But that individual, who is normally the MLRO, or/and the head of compliance, has to report to the board of directors to keep them abreast of everything that's actually going on. Because even though it's the responsibility of the board, they depend on that individual to do these things daily and let them know what's going on so that they can know what they should be doing.
That's what I was thinking.
correct, correct. So the board comes in about 4 times per year, once per quarter, and the board really delegates their authority to senior management. Even though they delegate their authority, because senior management is there every day, they can share responsibility, they cannot share accountability, okay? And there's a difference. So ultimately, the board is responsible. They will have to I mean, the compliance professional will speak on their behalf, the CEO speaks on their behalf, but they are responsible. Okay, and so when you see that multiple choice question, you're going to see the MLRO, the compliance department, the correct answer is the board. Okay, so don't mind that they are delegating. Even though they delegate, they are required to they are accountable for everything that happens in the organization. And for a very long time, a lot of boards have been out of control. And I had a compliance person from Central Bank who took my class, and she said, we even created a board engagement policy because we saw that some persons were sitting on the board for 10 years. So now they made, they put a limit of how long you can sit on the board because they want fresh new ideas. And then, you know, there's always a pastor. I guess that pastor is there to keep the peace and to pray. But she said she just happened to be auditing a financial institution the same time they were having a board meeting. And so she, you know, she thought perhaps let her have a water cooler conversation with the priest. Perhaps he could throw a prayer in there for her. And she said she just sat there by the water cooler, and he came in the kitchen. She said, "Hey, how are you?" And so I just wanted to know, how do you handle your pets? And he said, "Peps? What is a pep?" And he didn't even know what a pep. And this was a Fortune 500 bank board that he was sitting on. Okay. And so from that one conversation, she realized that, hey, the independent person or the priest that most boards have, they don't even know the terminology. And so that's why not only staff is now required to have AML training annually, the board is now required. Yeah.
Even with that, Ms. Fuller, we just had a conversation about that yesterday with the independent board members.
Yes.
You want to get people that aren't necessarily in the industry. Like when it comes to crypto, you don't want to always get people to sit on the board who knows what crypto is. You need to get someone who is independent, who doesn't know exactly what it is, so that everyone else who's on the board, once y'all explain it to them, they can now understand what it is. Because by the time as you talk about it continuously around someone, they'll pick up on it. So you need someone looking in from the outside who could pose some questions that you mightn't necessarily think about and could actually raise probably not necessarily a red flag, but could raise a topic of discussion and give you different ideas as to which direction you should be moving in.
Agreed. But however, with AML, you cannot sit on a financial services board and never had AML training and do not understand the risk involved with the position that you hold. So everybody has to be trained on anti-money laundering, terrorist financing, and proliferation.
Right, they need to be trained. But for example, let's say it's a cryptocurrency company. Get someone like a lawyer. Right. They don't know what cryptocurrency is necessarily, but they have enough sense to actually learn it and understand it and give something back to the company.
Yeah, correct. But you need to be familiar with the risk from the position that you hold. And a lot of persons are sitting up on boards or for financial services companies, and they don't know the first thing about, you know, you have to have some minimum training. You have to be aware, you know, you don't have to know what cryptocurrency is. Yes, make the person who's selling the product or whatever explain it to you, tell you understand. However, you must have a level of training under AML and terrorist financing to ensure that the company is carrying out your responsibilities properly. Okay? Again, remember, compliance is everybody's business. Everybody has to be involved. Okay?
But quick, before we go too far, the question you asked, can you repeat that for me, please?
The primary responsibility for delivering compliance rests with the first line in the book.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. And so, again, we understand the rule. Then yes, the compliance department, because again, we strongly suggest that these roles are split. There should be compliance, then there should be AML. So the AML compliance team has a responsibility of identifying AML compliance risk, determining risk appetite of the business, identifying what systems and controls should be put in place, understanding how these systems work, because again, that's how Volkswagen was able to defraud the world, because they had a new system and nobody really understood how it works. We show up to work every day. We world check at the beginning. We don't know if world check is going on every night. And if it's not going on every night, what should we do to mitigate the risk? That Ms. William today is our client. She verified she opened this account. Tomorrow she goes out and commits a crime. Okay? World check may not give us that information right away. Is there a Bahamas cause list? That is there somebody looking at the court report every day? How do we protect ourselves? How are we proactive, or are we very reactive? Are we waiting till the subpoena comes to the institution, till the police tells us that this client has been arrested? Or do we have Bahamas Court News coming across our Facebook page? I'm head of Asian desk. I know all about China, all about various places in Asia, their patterns and what they do. Like I said, one day I was sitting down and I don't read all the newspaper every day, but I did see this name. And I said, I know Mr. Shu. That name sounds familiar. I put it in the system, charged with money laundering and embezzlement. Okay, so I don't have to wait. And when I pulled up his account, I could see the money being sent and the transfers going out the bank, out the bank, out the bank. Because let's say he had 4 million, by the time I pulled up the account, he had 1 million left. He had already sent out 3 million because he knew he was going to jail. Okay, and so that's how you become proactive. Okay, so you need to be able to document what systems help you, what they do, and how they work. What gives you a trigger is there a report that you receive every month. And if there's not, what do you do manually? Okay, a lot of us do not know. Okay, a lot of us for the first time, we even think anything suspicious about this client is when we get the subpoena. Okay, to go to court or the FIU shows up or there's a production order. Until then, we didn't even know because we were so overworked, underpaid, and no proper metrics in place to guide us. We don't know who should be dealing with the high risk. We don't know who should know this customer, who should build a relationship. We don't do the reviews. Okay, and so this is why people get hackers because they know all these things. Okay. So of course we said the money laundering officer at the beginning is a regulated function. And what that means is the institution puts an ad in the paper and you can apply and you get an interview and they say, okay, we choose you. However, you now have to go to that regulator and the regulator has to put you through a fit and proper test to ensure that you're fit and proper. So make sure you go to your neighbors. The next time you bake some cookies or a piece of cake, take it over to them so they give the regulator a good report. Don't be in a land dispute with your neighbor and say, Ms. Bullet, no way, she should be in jail. Okay, and then keep your finances in order. Keep one account where, if you have to produce a reference, because I had to produce a reference and I say, oh Lord, please don't send me a mortgage account, I'll never get a job. So have an account that you could, would have a little savings on that you could give them 3 years. So if you don't have one now, separate in the back, go and open up one and put a little savings on. So you could have 3 years and you could have a reputable financial history. They don't feel like, oh, anybody could bribe Miss Bullet, she's so broke. Any money launderer can pay off. Okay, so you want to be financially sound. Okay, and then you will receive these STRs, you will be privy to more information and the people on the front line. So you'll do your little investigation, you'll do your research, and then you will decide if you are going to file this STR. And if you don't file it, then you need to document why. Okay. Perhaps increase the controls on the account, even though it's not a high-risk account. I want this monitored more closely. I want put a note in the system to check this in 6 months to see if this activity changed, or I need you to call the client to see why he continuously goes outside his profile. Okay. And then there's internal audit. A few years ago when they enforced recommendation 1, assess your risk, put controls in place to protect it. FTRA section 5, complete a risk assessment on your business. They created the 3 lines of defense. So each department should have, in your institution, they should have rolled it out where they said the front line and management is the first line of defense. They have the customer interaction. Compliance is then the second line of defense. And then internal audit is the third line of defense. And again, all of this is to protect against risk and mitigate risk within your various departments and in your organization. Go ahead, Felicia.
So we would have just had pretty much a presentation with our client services department, pretty much just showing them how these transactions would go through and how we have to monitor them. And not until we actually broke it down to them did they see what it was that we had to do and why it was that we were asking them for so much KYC. I think sometimes people think you're being difficult when you ask for so much stuff, but we had to explain to them that it's their responsibility to, know, you have to know your client. I don't know your client. So if you see something suspicious, you should be the first one to give me a heads up to tell me, I think something is going on with this. It shouldn't come to me. And I have to be the one who don't know this client at all to pick up that something is up with this. If you see a client sending money or receiving money from a funny place, that's a red flag right there. They only do certain transactions every month, but now they send in double to someplace else and all that. Ask questions. Don't wait for it to come to me for me to ask you this question for you to go back to the client. From you get that, go back to the client and ask the client some questions. We have a lot of sanctioned individuals. We have a lot of sanctioned countries. Know your sanctioned countries. You shouldn't put this through. And when it comes to I should tell you that the sanctioned country can't go through. So like you said, client services, that's the first line of defense, and they really just have to ramp it up.
Right. And so it's training again, especially the people who've been there for 25 years. They don't believe that they have to do all this extra work because you all ain't increase their salary, right? So you all ain't increase nobody's salary, but you asking them to take 5 more steps. Okay.
You're right, and that's exactly what they'd say. Well, we never to do it before. Why we could do it now?
Right.
Time to changing. Thank you.
Correct. So we on a learning curve, and so you have to get a strategy on the strategy that has been working for me. And I learned this acronym years ago. It's called CUBA. You give people the knowledge, then you test them to make sure they understand. And then they believe they have to do it after you say it so many times, and then they act. They actually go out and do it. So you have to see where your institution is at, and it's only through constant training and saying, hey, I understand we never did it before. I understand your salary didn't increase. However, these are the risks. And then you let them watch these Netflix, which is a little bit more exciting because compliance boring, and you have to make it exciting as possible. And you give them scenarios and cases and say, this what are the possibilities if you don't follow all these steps. Okay, because these are our controls to mitigate the risk. Okay. And again, I went to a seminar with one of the regulators held, and the first thing they played was that HSBC case, and they said, HSBC got charged $1.9 billion. And of course, all us broke, none of us never know but no billion. None of us even know but million right now, but billion, way out our league. So the whole room went, $1.9 billion, not knowing that HSBC made that in 5 weeks. And that was a slap on the wrist for them. Okay, so I want you all to be aware because y'all are gonna go to trainings. Y'all gonna find people like Miss Bullet who will stand up for 3 hours and give you all the wrong information. Okay, fact check me. Okay, know your source. Know the two sides. Like, I went to many trainings and I just said then people talk for 3 or 4 hours and they swing their hair back and forth. They give you the wrong information. Okay, so fact check Miss Bullet. I ain't always right, I say you half of the story, the rest of it you have to go and do research. Okay, and that's why I say build your network to make it a little bit easier. But it's constant knowledge and training and getting these people to believe. When they believe, they can act. Okay, so see where you are on your learning curve. Because I don't even believe you have to do all of this. Okay, if I had a student Royal Bank, I'd like, please check what? 2 signatures where? No. Do what? So it's a curve, okay? And so the regulators, of course, we know the central bank, and we saw that we worked with the central bank guideline, and we are familiar with it. And I said, always start at the table of contents. Make sure you look at the dates, because I believe somebody in their homework was quoting 213. And I said, okay, I gotta let this slide. But the law is updated in 218, so don't quote me nothing from 213, please. Remember, when you're getting data, look at the date, because a lot of things have changed. Okay? So I let you slide because it was the homework. But don't quote me nothing from before 218, because everything was updated since then. And some things may still stand, but some things may change. Okay? So the central bank, the regulator for banks, the Securities Commission, regulator for securities firms and broker dealers and what have you. Insurance Commission, regulator for the insurance industry. And of course, we know there were, I think it was this class, no, this is my next class, there are at least 5 persons from the motor insurance department, because now they never had to do due diligence on clients and get KYC, and now it's the law updated, they have to do it. So a lot of them are in the class. And then the gaming board in charge of the casinos and in charge of all of the island locks and what have you. And again, that in those casinos, like I said, that person was not even aware that, hey, this person could be human trafficked. Okay, my responsibility is not to turn a blind eye, but to point this out, to let somebody investigate this, just to make sure that this person wasn't kidnapped. 70,000 women in America are missing. The other day in ethics, they had 39 persons they found in ethics in the UK that they were Asian people, and they purport that their organs were missing. They were all there in the back of a 45-foot container. You know, those big trucks that fly past you when you're in Miami and you shake, yeah, one of those. Okay, so you cannot, you know, you don't want to be overly suspicious and you want to accuse everybody, because there are law-abiding citizens of them making legitimate money. However, you do want to do your due diligence, and when something seems fishy, just check it out. Just check it out. Okay, but you don't want to accuse and you don't want to tip off. Okay, and of course we know the newest regulator on the blocks is the Compliance Commission, and they regulate now the law firms, the accounting firms, and the real estate firms that have a corporate service providers are, or a financial service providers are. Okay, so they are the regulators. Okay, so that's the overview of compliance. We should now have made a determination as if you can listen to Ms. Bolita for 3 more hours, or if that's it. Okay, if this is too comprehensive, if this is too much, then we stop right here. But if you are excited and if you want to learn more, or if you're just motivated by money, because it's one of the higher paid positions within the financial services sector, then you will go on further. But if you can't take it, and you can't take the essays and the references, and like I said, when you get to the ICA, the Brits are extremely meticulous. Where, like I said, I didn't take up any points for the 213, you would lose 20 points. If you don't reference properly, you lose 20 points. Okay, so they are very meticulous, so you have to cite your source. And like I say, when you upload your essay, it tells you 10% came from this, 20% came from that. If you get the 50%, that's your essay, and you would have written 3,500 words. Okay, but again, it's very achievable. If Ms. Bullet do it, anybody can do it.
Ms. Bullet.
Yes.
In the exam with the essays, you said we have 7 essays. So how much words we need for that?
You need
that's the 1,200
one
words?
page. The 1,200 words was just for, because it was open book and you could have done research, and so I wanted you to get as much meat as possible and get the practice if you're going on to ICA. Because ICA is 3,500, but in the exam, no more than 1 page.
Okay, thank you.
Remember, Ms. Bullet got the mark 7 essays times 25. So by the time I get to the 3rd paper, I see, oh, is this done? When is this end? I can't read no more. Okay, and then it has to be cross-marked. Yeah, so I want essays, because I told persons, you know, if they run out of time and they want to write points for the last question, that's fine, I'll take points. One person, of course, wrote the whole 10 points for every question. And I just had to be generous with her because she did very well with her points. However, you know, the cross marker said, no, these are supposed to be essays. So if we allow that for the last question only, not every single one.
One more thing, we have short answers or just the multiple choices and the essay?
Yeah, just the multiple choice in the essay. So about 15 or 20 multiple choice, and that's the 7 essays.
Okay.
Ms. Bullard, this exam being administered face-to-face or virtual?
Face to face. Did I say to call Miss Dean and make an appointment for your exam?
Oh.
No, we haven't done that. Okay, yes.
Ms. Bullard, I still haven't received the homework. I still have not received it. Could you send it to me personally, please?
Which homework, Jasmine?
Not homework, sorry. Jesus, where my head is. The review thing.
Okay, then Jasmine, let's check your email address because the persons who said they didn't get it, I sent it, they received it.
I haven't.
Yeah.
Miss Bullard, I still don't have it.
What's that?
I got it, Miss Bullard.
Latoya.
Okay, let me see what happened. Let me check your Latoya, yours then too. I should have Latoya's thing.
Miss Bullard, do you want me to try? Just forward it to them right now. I have it up.
Yes, please. That would be
Okay.
very helpful. Thank you for that.
Sure,
You know,
no
Miss
problem.
Christine is technically savvy, so.
And Jasmine, I could WhatsApp you the question, the sheet I have, because I printed off. I could take a picture and WhatsApp it to you, Jasmine.
Yeah, but she would.
Okay, thank you.
She would need all 10, so when she studies,
All right.
so please.
Right, I will take a picture of the whole 10. I will take the picture of all of them and send it to her.
Separately, please, because my eyesight is not the best. So don't send me nothing small, but I can't read.
No,
So
I
it's
understand small.
what's the email, please? What's the name? Or Latoya?
And mine.
So
Latoya.
Just
Put it
Latoya and
in the
Jasmine.
message. Mhm.
Okay, so when you all come next week, come with your sheets. You know, take notes from each person that the 10 points, and then go ahead and study. Don't just, because I see persons, like I say, just copy it and paste it. Of course, what you did for homework should be one of your essays. Okay, so bring your homework sheet and know that that's your essay, and any points that you would have missed, you should be able to pick that up in the review class. Okay, be clear on what needs to be done next week. Everybody is in a group.
No, sorry, you can repeat it for me, please. Sorry, I missed it.
They did make up the WhatsApp chat, and everybody should be in the group. I think I didn't get Miss Bullard, you're supposed to send us something again about the groups too.
No, I don't. Not that I recall.
Okay, I know you said.
No, I'm saying with the review sheets. With the review sheet, whatever question you would have done for homework should be essay 1, right? And so you come with the review sheet and you come with your essay 1, and you just take notes based on what is shared with us in the review class. And then you go and do, you know, your research to add to it. Okay? And then, like I say, the key is organization. You should know these are the 7 topics. There's only 8 chapters in the book. These are the 7 topics I'm gonna answer, you know, but I don't want to, a lot of people write out their essays and then they just try and copy and paste from memory and they don't look at the question. The question normally has 3 parts. And I saw this in the homework where persons just gave me a lot of writing about a topic, but they didn't specifically answer the question. Okay, and I think that was more on the terrorism side. What are the objectives? Was the first part. Then give me 3 examples of you know, what they used. Why are they doing this? They want to train, they need safe havens, they need weapons, right? So make sure you answer the 3 parts of a question, or read the question and answer, you know, make some notes too when the question asks. Don't just come and talk about terrorism. Okay, and then do your research. Have your cases. A lot of people did not have any case in their
So you want us to reference actual cases where it took place?
Yes, and all you have to say is according to the National Guard, you know, to the Tribune or what have you.
Okay.
You know, you don't need to say the dates and all of that, but just say, you know, where you got your source from, because it's gonna be fact checked.
Right.
Right.
Can we have our sheets as our cheat sheet?
What sheets?
The review sheets, when we take the exam.
Oh, absolutely not. and let me let you know
That was a lot of stuttering.
Absolutely not. No, y'all, please don't cause Miss Bullet to be. First of all, this exam is going to be recorded. Okay, so there's going to be a camera in the room, and just because you see somebody walk out, that does not mean that you're not being watched. There's a camera in the room recording your every move whilst you take the exam. Please. And this has happened before where somebody say, "Oh, I got my cheat sheet." You will have to pay $150 for a retake. Then you have to attend counseling. Okay? And depending on what the counselor says, it will be determined if you're allowed to come back to take any class at the institute. If your employer is paying, we will send this information to your employer. What do you think is going to happen then?
Termination.
Okay, so we have had persons that have been terminated as well. So please don't embarrass Ms. Bullard. We all have information. If we need extra help, we ask for extra help. Please come only with your car keys. Don't bring a cell phone. People is bring, and no, you laughing. People is bring it and put it on vibrate and put it in their pocket. And when the person walk out the room, they pull it out and other people are in the room with you. And so they've even reported, hey, this person was on their cell phone. It ain't worth it. You know, the thing about it is these are only accolades. You have to be able to perform in your institution. You can't perform in your institution if you don't do the work. Anything worth having, you have to work hard for. Okay, so please don't even speak of no, this is closed book. Bring only your keys and your mouse. Call Mrs. Dean and make an appointment so she can ensure that you're properly socially distanced when you come in.
So Miss Bullard, it is only one day we could take the exam.
Well, I need you to call Miss D now if you have another day, because then we have to make like 3 or 4 versions of the exam. So I need to know that. You'll have to call Miss D and arrange that with her, like today.
Okay, so I think Omega may have talked to you about my situation.
Yeah.
So,
Can you repeat that, please?
Yeah, so Jasmine, that's understandable, and you just speak to Miss D and she'll arrange that for you. That's fine.
Okay, then thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else? Please call Miss Dean and let Miss Dean know if you can make it on the date that is scheduled, and she will make an alternate arrangement for you.
Okay, so I just want to be sure, just one more time. So the review sheet that you've given us, those exact topics, once we, I guess, do
No,
those.
no.
Sorry.
Review is just a review. It's just a guideline.
Okay.
I can't give you the answers for the test. I can't give you the topics. It's just to jog your memory, and these are the possibilities. So when you see the questions, there are no surprises.
Okay.
Okay. Closed book 100 times, please. It's recorded. Don't say you all didn't know. Okay, so please save yourself or lots of love. You know, it's definitely achievable. You know, if you organize yourself, and again, like I said, most institutions, they offer you a day or 2 study. Please arrange a study day. The key is not to come in rushed and overwhelmed. Have breakfast and relax after you study and unwind, and then you'll be able to retain it. And then when you come in, you don't have writer's block, or you don't be worried with fighting the traffic or being overwhelmed. Your mental state is very important in these days. People say, Miss Bullet, I just finished. I know the information, but I couldn't remember. The traffic was so much, I had to pick up the kids. So organize yourself, ask your significant other to deal with the kids for the rest of this week. These next 2 weeks, you've made a commitment. You're gonna buy a new bag, you're gonna go on to Miami, you're gonna have a vacation at Atlantis, but you spent this money at the institute. And so you made an investment into yourself. And so ask the people at home around you to support you. So when the big investment comes, they will benefit from it. Right? So this is organize yourself. And people take it for granted, but I've had mothers who failed because they had to rush home to cook for their husbands. Or now that we are all home, persons don't, I gotta cook and I gotta do this whilst I listen in the class. How? You know, or I text in because I don't believe that the messages could save a nigga be there. When I finish class, they could be there. Everybody who call you or text you, the phone is saving for you. Okay, so organize yourself, get 100% of your investment back. Or next time, go on a vacation or go to Miami, because this was enough money to get you to Miami and shop at least for one day. But you made this investment, so 100% get your returns. Okay? And start to form your network and attend more of these meetings that you found fun and beneficial, and develop your entire corporate career, because you will see that when you know you go on interviews and stuff, you'll be like, oh, I know you're from Kiwanis, or I know you're from Toastmasters, or you know, and they look good on your resume as well. You are a member of this group or this organization, or what have you. We are, you know, looking for well-rounded persons, not just people who can do the work. Okay? And then people who have proper interpersonal skills, who know how to treat people. Because corporate Bahamas has you know, some people want to commit suicide after they spend a day with you. They want to, you know, they feel like it's a very toxic environment. So we need to change the culture in these environments. And the only way to do it is by educating the people and training them. This is how, if you didn't learn this at home, this is how you treat a human being. You know, you may laugh, but this is where we are. This is where we are. Okay, so everybody needs to be trained about colleague care and that same white glove service that you give to the customers, you give that to the person sitting next to you. You make sure that they are all right. You make sure that they are comfortable. You share your knowledge. We stop this backbiting and black crab thing, and we work together, and we are the future leaders. It's up to us to make a difference. Okay? Amen, church?
Amen.
Amen.
All right. Okay, so if there are no questions or concerns, you know, you'll do this again next week, and it's definitely been a pleasure. If you are interested in going on to the next step, when you make your appointment for the exam, please ask Ms. Dean about registering for intermediate. It should start, I think, early June. So, you know, sign up and we will continue on this journey.
Okay.
Okay?
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you.
So
Okay.
have a fabulous weekend and unwind and relax, and then pick this back up, and we'll see you again next week.
Okay.
Okay, you too.
Good afternoon.
Okay. Good afternoon.
Okay.
Good afternoon.
Okay, bye.